Hi, this is Chris from Clever Unicorn Games and the Unicorn Collective, back with another episode of Designer Playtesting. In this episode, we check out Hyperwars by Fabricio Leotti. It is a card management real-time area control game set in a cyberpunk universe, and we really enjoyed it. It is a very good game to play, with a few wrinkles that need ironed out, but we talk about that in the show. So enjoy. Hi, this is Chris from Clever Unicorn Games and the Unicorn Collective, back with another episode of Designer Playtesting. With me today is...
This is Patrick, designer of Funky Fruit. You can find us on Funky Fruit Cards on Instagram. It's funky with an I instead of a Y. Keeper of a wardrobe full of board games.
And I'm Ian Brocklebank. You can probably best find me on thegamespeople.co.uk.
Hi, I'm David. You can find all my stuff on Facebook at facebook.com/David Digby Board Games.
My name is Fabricio, and I'm here today presenting my game Hyperwars that you can find on dicecoalition.games/Hyperwars.
Okay, so tell us about your game.
Okay, so this is Hyperwars. Welcome, everyone. Please have a look at the art. The art is gorgeous. It's from an artist called Niklas Hook. He's very nice guy, very nice art. So, and Hyperwars is about a competition between cyberpunk themed corporations. So each one of you will play as a corporation, and your main objective is to get control of those boards in the table. Those 5 boards there, they are the districts of the city. So we have like the market or the club or other places. And those areas, those districts, they have a need to fulfill objectives. The objectives are those yellow hexagonal cards at the corner of the table. They are face down now. But you can pick one of them, for example, and put it on the center of one of the hexagons, one of the districts, please. Just because I cannot interact. Yes, nice. Cool. So they are randomized. And then if you flip them, you're going to see that, yes. So each one of them has a demand. And the demand is a number of cubes that could be red, white, or blue. So for example, if you take the market, the brown yellow one here, it says it needs 2 white cubes and 7 blue cubes. And if someone is able to do this, if someone can somehow do the fulfill this demand, so to speak, then it will be able to get points. And you get points from...
Sorry, can I interject? I'm assuming one of these piles is supposed to be white.
Oh, yeah, sure. They are all red.
There's a TTS bug that means that white cubes appear red. And
there we go.
I think we need to sort that. There we go.
Yep, I see them.
Before we go any further.
Yeah,
no, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
We got it.
Nice. Cool. So then your objective is to fulfill those areas there. And how do you do this? And I'm going to do some demonstrations. So you do by moving your meeples to one of those 3 areas. So every district has 3 areas. And you cannot have meeples of your own in 2 different areas in the same district, but you can have meeples in different districts, of course. So let's say one player could do this and the other one could be here. And if you are the one here and you indeed have exactly 7 blue cubes and 2 white ones, and you are the player with the highest amount of meeples in one area, you get to try and fulfill this area. And if you can do it, you get the higher points here. Let's say there is a second player that also has the correct amount of stuff here. Let's just pretend this is 7. It's not. But it has less meeples than the blue player does. Then you can try second to fulfill the demand. And if this player can also do this, it gets the second highest amount of points. So
it's a
that's
first
how.
place and a second place for each.
Yes. So
Right.
there is a third area, of course. So a third player could also be here. And in case of a tie, either for the highest value or the lowest value, both of them get the same points. So if the tie is with like the biggest amount of meeples, both red and blue would get 7 points. And if it was a tie between yellow and red, both of them would get 5 points if they could fit this demand. So the game is played for 5 minutes as the timer.
So if you have more meeples but don't have the cubes,
then you get 0.
but does the other person who has less meeples, do they still get the chance to fulfill, or have you somehow denied them the opportunity?
Yes, they do. It's like a line. The ones with the most meeple goes first, and if they cannot fulfill the demand, the next one in line takes it.
Okay.
So that's how it goes. So, and this is the end state. So we're gonna count these points when the 5-minute timer gets to 0. So during 5 minutes, you're gonna make sure that you have the highest amount of meeple in a given district that you want to control, and you have the exact amount of cubes in that district to fulfill the demand. If you have more, you get a penalty of -1 point per extra 2 cubes you have.
Okay.
So that's so you can have a little bit more and still get some points. That's fine. Cool.
It tells you on there as well. It tells you the penalty at the bottom. So
Is that 2 of the same color, or 2 just them 2 in general? Just 2 above?
Sorry?
It's the penalty points.
Yeah.
So say I've got 7 blue cubes, but I've got 4 white cubes. So obviously I get a penalty, yeah?
Yes.
But if I've got... Yeah, but is that staggered? So if I've got like 8 blue cubes and 3 white cubes, am I going to get a penalty then as well?
Yes, you only count the number of cubes, regardless of the color.
Regardless of the color, okay.
Yes. So for every 2 cubes, and the minimum penalty you get is 1 point. So even if you only have 1 extra cube, you still get 1 point.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So that's it. Cool. So that's how you do it. So that's the end objective of the game. Then we count for all the districts, and whoever has more points wins the game. However, there's a catch. We're gonna have cards from the central deck here, the action cards, and at the end of the game, for every 2 action cards you still have in your hand, you're gonna get 1 point penalty. So at the end of the game, you want to have the least amount of cards you can in your hands.
Okay.
Nice. So as I was saying before, the game can be a bit overwhelming. So what I did to help players with the learning curve is to slice the game in different things I call rule levels. So the game doesn't start like this now. This is what you're seeing right now is what I call rule level 3. And there are 5 rule levels. But the tabletop simulator version only goes up to 3. So I'm gonna reload this game with the setup for the first level, and then I'll explain how to play it.
Excellent. I like that you have a plan.
Yes, so this is the level 1. It's much simpler. As you see, there's a lot less stuff in the table. And you already have your cards, so in front of you. And I'm going to explain how to use them. So how do you play Hyperwars? So every one of you should have 4 cards. They are the action cards, and they should be all the same. 1 deploy move, 1 input, 1 output, and 1 deliver.
Okay.
Also, each one of you should have 10 meeples and 1 empty bag. Cool.
Yep.
How do you play Hyperwars? So as soon as the timer starts, the way you play goes like this. You pick a card you want to play, you put it in front of you, face up, then you do the action that it says on the card, you flip the card around, and you pass it to the player on your right. Then you collect cards from your left, whatever cards the player on your left left to you, put it in your hand, and you start over.
Okay.
That's how you play. At
And that's
any
real
point,
time.
yes, that's real time. you just do it as fast as you can. At any point, if you don't want or cannot use cards from your hand, you can reach for the central deck. The central deck, it has exactly the same type of cards you have in your hands. So no new cards will come from here, but eventually you don't have the card you want, or you don't want to do in that specific order. So you can just reach from the central deck, add one card, and then you can play it normally. The only restriction is you can only reach for the central deck again after you have played at least one card. Doesn't have to be the same one you picked, can be any card. Well, that's
Okay, and we get minus points for cards in hand.
exactly. So the cards are gonna go around and round and round, and when the 5 minutes is due, we're gonna count the points, and for every 2 cards you still have in your hands, you're gonna lose 1 point.
Okay.
Nice. So that's how you play the game. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the actions. They are quite simple, and I'd like first to ask you what you think of those. Sometimes hard to do this. Yeah. Okay. So please take a look at the deploy move card you have in your hands. Can you try and guess what they do?
Put a
What
meeple
this
on
card
a
do?
hex.
Or the meeple on a hex. Yes, that's one thing that you
But
might
it's
do.
1 plus, so it's any number of meeples.
Yes. Okay. That's
And you
also
can take them from another place and move them somewhere else.
nice. So you can do one of 2 things when you play this card. You can either take 1 meeple from your stash and put it in a valid area, like an empty area like this, or an area where you already have a meeple. Or you can instead move 1 or more meeples from one area to exactly one area. That's what this card allows you to do.
Okay.
So whenever I say district, I mean the hex. When I say area, I mean the small area inside a given district.
Yep. Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
So that's deploy move. Then you play it, you flip it. Oh, not the meeples. You flip it, and then cool.
Does that flipping, is that absolutely critical? I'm just wondering with Tabletop Simulator whether or not it's going to just become clunky if we're passing flipping and then having to unflip. Do we need to flip the card? Or
Yeah. So the idea of flipping is that you don't give too much clue to the other player of what's going on. It might be that the other player doesn't really see because the game is quite fast, but
Right.
normally you should flip it face down.
Makes
Okay.
sense. It does make sense.
Okay.
But they will have seen the action you did, won't they? That's what I'm saying.
Well, they might not. That's the thing, because it's real time. That means
Okay.
they've had to spend time looking at your card rather than doing their own
You're
action.
keeping it real.
All right, fair enough.
Nice. So I'll just continue with the example. Let's say we have some meeples here already, and then I'm gonna talk about input. When you play input, can you guess what the card does?
Adds cubes where you've got meeples.
I'm going to complete guess. 3 cubes from pool to bag. That's top of my head.
That's completely correct. Exactly
was
what
way
it,
off.
what it is.
I guess.
From the center of the table, yeah.
If I knew there was
Yes.
going to be a quiz, I would have done some research.
Look, Chris, I'll give you a clue. Right on the
So,
screen. Yeah.
You can pick cubes in any combination you want. So it could be 1 of each or 3 of the same color, 2, 1, doesn't really matter. And then you put them in your bag. You
Okay.
flip it, you pass it. That's input. Well,
Right.
at this point, I guess it's quite obvious what output is.
Out of your bag.
But exactly. The only thing is, I didn't quite understood how to make the bag self shuffle. So please shuffle your bag once you have something there, because you should take them out randomly. Exactly. Of course, if you only have
does it with Tabletop Simulator, does it normally sort of go in a pile? So the last one in is the first one out.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
That's why
I
you
didn't
need to
realize
shuffle.
that. Okay.
So of course, if you only have 3 cubes there, it doesn't really matter because the 3 you're gonna get out are the same. That's fine. Then you take you take 3 cubes out of your bag, and you need to put it all together in one area where you have at least 1 meeple.
Right.
You flip it, you pass it. That's it.
Okay.
And lastly, deliver. Can you try and guess what this one does?
Deliver is placing them. So once we've
That's
Well, it's
that's
placing
fulfilling
cubes
the
on a
things,
hack.
isn't it? That's
Move on
fulfilling
to
them at the minute.
another. It's the districts, isn't it?
So yeah, you can move cubes from one district to another district. That's what you do. So
Okay.
you can move one or more cubes from one district to another district where you already have a meeple.
Oh, so there's a reminder on the bottom right of the screen. I don't know if you can see that in the white text up when the menu's up.
Oh yes, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
can now.
You guys are thinking, how did Patrick guess that? You know, it's just like
Yeah.
Oh, I've just noticed.
quote verbatim off that, and you guys haven't been doing your homework, but
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, sure.
Well, I've just switched to top-down view, which I think is going to work better anyway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I play. So yeah, it could work. I think yes. So well, and then that's it. We're gonna do and repeat those 4 actions for 5 minutes, and at the end of it, we count points. We subtract the penalties from the number of cards in hand. We determine who wins the game. That's it.
I like this.
Yeah, I'm kind
This
of
is
excited.
interesting. I'm intrigued as to how it's going to work out.
Cool. That's cool. So just keep in mind that in order to fulfill a district demand, you need to exactly meet the demand. And
Right.
every extra 2 cubes, you're gonna lose 1 point, with a minimum of 1 point lost. So even if you only have 1 extra cube, you're still gonna lose 1 point.
Yeah. Okay.
I explained about the central deck as well, so you can reach there and pick 1 card whenever you want, but you can only
And that's
reach
just
again.
random. We just get one of the 4 at random.
Yes, exactly. And then you can only pick another one after you have played at least 1 card.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's what I have for you. I have a question. Do you prefer to have the timer on the center of the table or in one of the corners?
I don't think it matters because you're here. Because you're here, you can tell us when
Yeah.
it's up and what the
Okay.
times are. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
To be fair, in the physical version of the game, the timer is not available to anyone. So we just start it and turn it over, and no one knows when the time is going off.
Well, that's the way we should
So-
do it. then.
Oh, okay.
But we can't.
So
So
we
if
can't
you-
on the
see
table.
it. We just
If
have
you
to.
prefer, if you
just-
prefer, I can set the timer on my side here, and you will never know when it's.
just set it on
running.
your,
do
on
that.
your mobile or something. Yeah, and then we just
I definitely won't be looking at the clock in the corner of my computer screen.
Me
I
neither.
promise.
Okay.
no, neither I. Yeah.
The problem is when you're looking at
Alright.
the clock, you're not doing your actions.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, let's go. Come on.
Let's do
Okay,
this.
so I'm gonna set it up, and are you ready? Are you ready?
Can I just a couple of things then?
Yes.
Is there a way of moving where my hand shows at the bottom of my screen? Does anyone know how to do that? Because
You
it's going
can't
to
move it. The
obscure
only
my
thing you
play
can do is
area.
hide it.
But I need to be able to see it, don't I?
Yeah.
So that's not going to work. Though actually, you can see the cards quite well from a distance. So I might be able to do it like that. Though I think input and output might be a bit too similar. Can I suggest so we're passing clockwise, aren't we?
Yes.
So can I suggest we place
No, you're passing anti-clockwise.
anti-clockwise? Okay, so we're
Counterclockwise.
passing left. No,
Yes,
passing right.
Passing
No, you're
right.
passing right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can I suggest we place in the corner? Because then you'll still be able to see. So if
Yeah.
I'm sort of, if we place in the corner, then roughly where the timer is there, then I can still see that, or it's not hidden by my hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. That works. That works.
That means we should see the cards that are
Well,
accumulating.
it all depends on how each person set their cameras up, Ian. That's the.
Well, it
that's
does
the
to
thing.
some extent, but I want you to just, do it for me.
I'm gonna start the clock and say go. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Come on, give me some cards.
No.
David, I see you're not doing anything. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, strategy.
Okay.
He's trying to break your game already.
Nice. No, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. Yes. I see.
I don't care. I'm just going to draw extras.
Yeah, you can draw one and play one, draw one and play one. That's okay.
I can't be bothered flipping. Bloody pain in the arse flipping.
Oh, I was hoping to do an output before.
You
I
did
put
hear
an
the bit
input,
about
didn't
minus points for having all the cards, David, yeah?
That's what he's going to do. He's going to dump 27 cards on me all at once.
Yep.
I'm very curious how he's gonna manage doing this. That's so fast.
I? I'm aware there's a pile of cards Ian's lined up for me.
There's
Just
another-
piling up at the doorstep.
Oh. Sorry, I see.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to flip
so-
them. I'll let you have them face up.
Okay.
Saves all the. Okay, let's do that.
Right. Let the chaos begin.
Ah! Oh, bloody hell, I've just dropped the card on the floor.
Oh.
It will come back to the table. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, I've done it now. See, Dave's now trying to drown me in cards.
I'm floating in a sea of Ian's cards as well. Where the hell has my yellow one gone?
So I have to use them.
What do you mean?
I can't not use a card.
You cannot. Yes.
I can't just
Correct.
pass it.
You
Unless,
cannot
of course, you use a completely ineffective one, like
Yes.
something that you can't
In
do
a-
anything
Well,
with.
presumably there's no penalty for having lots of cubes in my bag.
No. No penalties for having cubes. At least not as yet. Not yet.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Not yes. That's scary. Right. Okay.
Hang on, I'm just.
Oh, put them on the wrong bloody district, didn't I?
It's up.
Do you say time's up?
Yes. Buffling.
Wow.
So
Wow.
for whatever cards you have passed already, those cards already belong to your opponent. So whatever cards you have to your left is already yours.
No, Ian, you're telling me this mountain you've left me is mine?
Yeah.
He's literally left me a mountain of cards. There's 5 there. But I don't know how yeah.
Well, Dave's managed to give me 6, and none of them are under you. Look at that. All of them inputs, outputs. None of them I can do anything useful with.
I'm
All
going
right.
to say this is too early for a big verdict, but that was pretty fun. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The mechanics of it were they keep you engrossed, and it's not. I mean, it is kind of a hectic game that you have to move quickly, but it doesn't overly pressure you.
That's cool. It's very good to hear that. Cool. So let's quickly move to the scoring phase. So I'm going to start with the market, the brown yellow one here. So we have a bit of a competition. So 5 blue meeples and 2 yellow ones. So blue goes first, and it doesn't do it, right?
That's because they're over here.
You never got that. Oh,
But they're not in the market, though, are they?
So when
No, because David did not give me the blooming
No.
card I needed. He was
Sorry,
just
so-
flooding me with inputs and outputs.
All right, so we move to the yellow one, and it also doesn't do it. Cool. Moving to the green district. We only have. Oh, so someone put some cubes here without any meeples, or did you abandon the cubes later on? Someone, I don't know.
I think that might have been me there. Yeah, I was getting carried away. I didn't want to put them on the red ones for Christmas.
Aha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
out of it. So let's do level
Alright.
2.
Let's do level 2. So level 2 introduces something that I call the improvement tiles. Those are those tiles, 3 pile of tiles there. One is red, one is white, and one is blue.
Yeah, security zone, AI center, and cloning facility.
Exactly. So, and if you use your mouse to check the ones at the bottom of each pile, you're going to see that there can be 1, 2, or 3 squares on top of the name.
I see that, yeah.
And that's the cost to buy those cards.
So they get more expensive as you buy them.
Exactly. So they start costing 1 and they end up the game costing 3. So how do you do those cards? So if you check in the central deck now, you're going to see that we have a new type of card. It's a new type of action that is called Improve Attack. Those cards, they only start at the central deck. So there's no way you can get one except someone passes it to you or you take it from the central deck. Nice.
Okay.
How do you play Improve Attack? It's the same mechanic. So you put in front of you, do whatever action it tells you to do, flip it, and pass it to your opponent on the right. However, how do you play that action? So when you play this, you are allowed to purchase 1 improvement tile. You need to pay the cost, so 1 cube of the color, or 2 or 3 of the color. You already have some meeple in an area, and then you have some cubes there. And let's say now you want to buy 1 security zone. So you play your Improve Attack card, you pick 1 red cube. If the cost is 1, you put it on the pool, and then you take this card and put it in front of you face up. Go.
Hey.
I've got a little.
Just put them in the corner there, Patrick, and stop flicking them at me.
Oh, blooming menus, go away.
Oh, I forgot we had to shuffle.
Bag shuffle, you mean?
Shuffle the bag.
Ah, yes. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna make the bag auto shuffle somehow.
That's quite an easy script.
I'll be nice, Chris. Just give them face up at the moment.
I have to zoom in now and see whether I've got this right. I think I've done everything I'm supposed to do here.
So when you take a card for the middle, can't you, if they don't get right?
At any time. You just need to play 1 card so you can take another one.
I don't know where that white cube's come from, because I've not touched any white cubes.
Ah, I've got 22 deliver cards.
Deliver them, man. David, how many times? Wow.
Right, Chris has now given me so many cards, I can't see my hand. I don't quite know how he's done that.
I know I've been piling them over here.
Yeah, but I've now got like 20 odd cards in my hand and I can't see what I'm doing. I don't know where they've come from.
To improve attack, so I'm paying out my bag, yeah?
No, you pay from the square you're from one of the districts.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop. Give up.
Right. What?
You need one of those things that allows you to throw cards away.
I'll have an AI sensor.
Yes, the blue one, yeah.
I'll pay 3 of these.
Yeah, but I can't see what any of my cards are.
All right, time's up.
Good.
I just got an AI sensor. I just chucked 3 deploys at Chris.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know what happened. At some point, suddenly in the middle of that game, I ended up with so many cards in my hand that they were just black and yellow blobs.
It's just
And I was trying to sort through my hand to work out what card was what card to be able to use the AI power. And then, I just got to the point where I just went, I can't care anymore. I have so many cards.
So that's interesting because there is a feedback.
That was close to a genuine table flip.
Okay.
But I don't think that's at the game's fault.
No, I don't think it is. I think there are issues with trying to play the game on Tabletop Simulator.
So
that combined with the fact that it's not my sort of game anyway, is leading to quite a lot of potential frustration. I think the best thing to do from the playtest point of view is for me not to play and then watch how the game evolves, and I'll be able to analyze it properly without having to sit there getting annoyed at the interface.
To be honest, I think we've got from these 2 levels. I think we've got more than enough to talk about. I mean, the game itself, I like it, and I don't really like real-time games, but I'm finding that I can see in my mind that this will play a lot better when you're sat at the tabletop, and the fact that it is more, it is a fetch quest game where you're fetching one thing from one place to another. I mean, the fact that you are passing cards to people and that might affect how their game goes, I don't think it's that big an issue because 1, the game's very short.
No, I don't think it is.
1, the game's very short. 2, you've got that middle deck, and 3, I mean, it's one of those games where now I'm struggling a little bit, with the speed and trying to keep up, but in a good way. In that I know that if I play this a few times and get better at it, learn the actions, then it'll be, it's one of those games where it will get, even though it is a real-time game, it will get strategy. There is strategy to it. The way I went into it was that I decided that 8.1 was 8 points, and 8 points is big from the first game. I decided 8 points was a lot, so I focused and made sure that I had that before I did anything else, and then after I finished that I started working on other things. But I was never, as I said, that's what I was focused on. I was never going to buy a tile, which means that really limited David to buying tiles. Maybe there's something that can be done with the buying tiles, adding it into one of the already, not adding an extra card for it, but having the ability to buy tiles being in one of the previous actions.
What, as an alternative on a card?
Yeah, like deploy move. Maybe deploy moves, put a guy out. Or...
I see your point. Yes, sure. So the point is that maybe there shouldn't be a 5th action. There should be one that doubles up, for example.
Yes, I think having 4 base action cards might be your USP, and then just making some of them do more than one thing, just so that you're not diluting the deck with so many different types of action card that happened there. If somebody's strategy involves not using one of them, like the one that you don't have to, the improve attack, that means that David's only going to have to rely on that deck in the middle, and if everybody else is drawing from the deck in the middle, there's a chance he might never get the chance to purchase one of those tiles.
That's true. Yeah, sure.
I suppose there's a thing you could do, in that when you want to take a tile, you don't make it, you have to pay for it. What you have to do is, if you want to take an improvement tile, you have to take a number of cards from the central deck, bloating your hand. So, for instance, if you want to take one of these cards, make it more expensive. You want to take, say, the blue tile there, you have to take 3 cards from the central deck into your hand.
I see. Yeah.
But
that could be tested for sure.
Wouldn't be such a big deal if you took the blue one?
Again, you don't have to have the blue one in there. I mean, you can change that to a different mechanic.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, is there one that's a lot stronger than the others? Because to me, the blue one seemed quite strong. So you can pass all these cards on. The security zone, the cloning one. I I guess it just depends how
Well,
competitive
the thing about the blue one is it's good if you've got a lot of cards in your hand, but to be honest, in these games, the only person that had a lot of cards in their hand was David. I mean, everybody else was getting through theirs
Well, yeah,
pretty
glitch
quickly.
cards
I
to
only
pass
ever
up.
usually had 3 or 4 cards in my hand total,
Yeah,
and you need some of them to do
and
action.
I think it would be interesting to see what would happen if we were playing in different seating positions. Because did I have a lot of cards because it was my fault, or did I have a lot of cards because you were going through them faster than everyone else?
And that's
Yes.
I very rarely had more than 3 or 4 cards in my hand.
Yeah.
I mean, ignoring whatever strange glitching thing happened in the, it's very. I don't think we can look at that data accurately, because in the first game I spent the first minute doing nothing, and in the second game I suddenly gained 20 cards.
Yes.
Without somehow doing anything to deserve it, and then just completely stalled from that point.
But from my point of view here, looking in at this game, this has got something. This is a game that is interesting, good to play, has balancing issues, which is exactly what we want from the recording these sessions. And there's a few things in there that probably need fixing, and you know that yourself. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come to us to let us have a look at it. But yeah, it's at the core of the game and the look of the game and the way that the game works. I'm very impressed with, and I would play this if somebody said, "Do you want to play this at one of my gaming clubs?"
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'd really like to play it. I think it's really interesting.
That's cool.
I think from a development point of view, it's going to be really easy to find the wrinkles by removing the time element.
Yes.
And that way you can really look into all the base mechanisms that are going on, the balance between the different tiles, how much should this be worth, how much should that be worth, how more efficient is doing things in multiples of 3, all those sort of things. It's going to be so easy to look at without the time restriction.
Yeah. Fabricio, do you always play with the same number of zones as there are players?
No, that's a very good question. So both in the rulebook and in the playtest experience, what I normally do is if player wants to be more competitive, I can give them less districts to play with, for example.
Right.
So we could have 3 districts and the game would be much, much more competitive.
Yes.
Or we could have a more lax, more management-based or management-focused game if I put 6, because then you don't compete. You're just managing your time and the efficiency of what you do. That's also very possible. And also, if I can show you, I'm going to do some.
I see. I mean, obviously, less districts.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
So this is for. This is for 3
You've got
players.
a brilliant scope for scalability in there with all of those options.
Yes.
Oh, and you could even have 2s and 3s, couldn't you, with different values of you could have some 2.
Yes. You could even use that for sure. Yes, completely.
It feels like potentially there's so much to it that I want to play for longer than 5 minutes. I think because essentially you're playing the whole game and you're playing all the time. There's no downtime. It might be really intense to trying to be on the ball for so long continuously, but it feels like the amount of backwards and forwards and cut and thrust. If we really wanted to maximize that opportunity to move cubes around and move meeples around, then actually it would take longer than 5 minutes to get to that point. But actually, I'd be really interested to see how it works. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah. So the playtest I did with more than 5 minutes didn't really work good. So up to 6 minutes still goes kind of fine, but then after that, the feeling of repetition kind of gets into you.
Okay.
And then it doesn't really. It starts getting a bit boring. So I decided to keep it short.
I see. It gives you tense. It's I like how it's modular, where you could adjust the level based on the difficult, based on how difficult you want to make it. I mean, it's always, certainly at the higher levels, it's always going to favour people who are more experienced with the game versus beginners. But, for teaching people, I like the fact there's the little mini game like the one we did at the start.
Yes, and then obviously you can always stop at any level you feel comfortable with and play there. And it should be as fun as any other. So
it's like modular. You can kind of chuck things in. I quite like it.
One thought. One of the things that you often hear people talk about is if the first turn is something that pretty much everyone's got to do, then if you can start with that first turn already happened, then in a sense and I just wonder whether it would be worth players actually starting with cubes in their bag, maybe one of each color. That would obviously also prevent them from just going for two. It would encourage them to use the odd cube to buy a tile. But if we started with one red, one blue, one white in our bag, it just means we've got something to do. Because otherwise we can't play output because we haven't done an input yet. So in a sense, we're forced to do an input first and a deploy first.
Yes.
Whereas if we started with 3 cubes, we've actually got 3 choices on turn 1.
Yeah, that could also work. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I have done a couple of tests with like this already set up scenarios, and it works fine actually. It normally, I do this normally when I want to show people advanced rule levels. So okay, let's play for 5 minutes, and you already have solved most of your problems. Now you can focus on the improvement cards, for example. So this is a
focus playtest where they're sort of halfway through the game.
Yes, exactly. So I haven't done this as a rule to play the game like this, but I have used this scenarios approach to kind of try to focus on different parts of the design. So yeah, it actually works. I'm pretty sure if we wanted to start playing like each player has 1 meeple in one area and 3 cubes or something, so you can do any of those 4 cards in any order you feel like. Yeah, it should probably work. Yes. Yeah.
That's good, guys. I think we've got a lot for Fabricio to have a think about there.
Yes, I have a ton of stuff.
Did you find it helpful? Were we helpful? I hope so.
Yes, you were very helpful, very thoughtful. I really like the feedback. Thanks a lot for all those. You're very kind.
Yeah, and like I say, your game, I'm very interested by it. It's a very fun game, and I liked what it did to my brain.
Yeah,
awesome.
I look forward to seeing this one.
Yes, I do. Weird and wonderful things.
Thank you. So the website I mentioned at the very beginning, you can, if you want, you can go there and subscribe to be told when the Kickstarter is up.
Yeah, thank you for bringing Hyperwars for us to try. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
And thanks for everybody out there who's watching us.